we'll start working on them. Bruce is actually obviously on vacation this week, but we'll start working on those and hopefully have them in the next 60 days or so.
Right, and so for those who are, we've had some expressions of interest in this transaction from the public, and it's, you know, the intent of the transaction will be to maintain the fair on the fairgrounds. There is no legal obligation for the county to hold a fair. That is not the law in Ohio. However, it is our wish that it would remain at the fairgrounds, and that's what the city of Lebanon has indicated it will do. And that will therefore, I don't think there's gonna be a major change in how the fair operates or what happens.
Well, I mean, you have obviously the city manager from City of Lebanon is here, I assume for the annexation piece of it here, but he might be able to.
If you wanted to elucidate that to us, that's fine, but I think it's in the press release.
Yeah, that's correct. Our intent is for really.
Scott, come on.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you. Scott Bronca, city manager, is here for the annexation, but certainly the city is very committed to keeping the fair there. So we anticipate entering into a 10 to 15-year lease agreement with the Ag Society to continue supporting the fair on the property. And, you know, we're ready to move forward with that process now, so absolutely.
Okay, good.
More to come.
So, and by the way, that annexation was a considerable piece of property. Do you guys have any other annexations in the coming months here?
We are having discussions with one property owner, kind of west of the Parkside development, but nothing official at this point, or they haven't.
Okay.
So what's going on with this 300 acres? Yeah, I mean, and again, just in case people, that took so little time,
Yeah.
because sometimes under the law, it literally says, we shall approve these. There is no discussion, there is no
Right.
anything with this type of an annexation. So we shall approve it, and that's what we have to do. But now we'll ask, so what is going on with that property?
Yeah, so it's a single owner annexation. The Schwartz family has had that property for a number of years. They're ready to move into development. Right now it's a partnership between Dries and Hensley Homes to develop the property. Hensley Homes is a custom home builder out of the Cincinnati area. Obviously Dries does a lot of work around here. So it's going to be lower density. So kind of the concept plan that we've been working with them on is a more lower density, a little bit more rural feel. You know, the Hensley Homes, $1 to $2 million type homes. Obviously Dries will be a little different product, but yeah, we're excited about it. It's, you know, kind of within our comprehensive plan and our growth area. And along with that, we're going to be looking at road improvements at kind of Drake and Miller Road, which has kind of been a problem area for us. So I think it's a good partnership.
So it's the, so this is a family that has got a development agreement with Dries to develop homes?
Yes.
And they wanted, was the reason why they were doing the annexation was to obtain water and sewer from you all?
Yes, yeah. Right now, the city had run sewer service really through the property over 20 years ago up to the high school. So they want to be able to access that sewer to support the development.
All right, so you've got your ordinances or your law in Lebanon requires, even though sewers are already been run over the property, you have to have the council approve the access to those sewers on anybody that's in a township. Is that right?
Yeah, typically our policy is annexation for sewer access.
All right, so you don't provide sewer access to people that are not annexed in?
We have in some cases. So
Well, I thought you had, because I
Yes.
thought that you were looking at maybe providing sewers to that property that was off of Columbia, where we changed the zoning from commercial to residential. And then I think you guys provided the sewers to that, and it's in Union Township.
Correct, yeah, there's a sewer line that runs up to the hospital there, that theoretically could be extended up, I think, are you speaking to the Lebanon Road property there?
It was off of Columbia,
Off of Columbia Road.
and well, there's an access that's private that's off of 42. It was a Homerama development that
Correct,
Mike
yes,
Williams
so that's
developed.
an example, yes, that's an example.
I'm just saying that that
Yeah.
was not, that was in Union Township,
Right.
and Lebanon sounded to me, I think that Lebanon was not completely in agreement with our changing the zoning there, but I don't remember that. But they had to get sewers, and I think they got them from you, which I actually like the fact that there are other jurisdictions like Lebanon that provide sewer service outside their jurisdiction and allow them to remain within a township. And that adds to, I mean, obviously, then you get tap-in fees and you get, you know, payments to your sewer service. You can make it something that helps your sewer costs. So I appreciate that, but in this particular case, you required annexation to get the sewers.
Yeah, that, and we did negotiate an annexation agreement with Turtle Creek Township. So we worked with them, you know, throughout the process. But yeah, in this scenario, because the property was kind of identified in our master plan as a future growth area, we did want annexation.
Okay.
Of this.
I mean, you know, I was on Mason, and the kind of annexations that I least liked, I didn't want us to do this, and I opposed these, is when a city would buy property and aggressively and then annex it in, which when the owner didn't want to do that, but they would then purchase the property and then annex it in, and that always caused a lot of consternation. Well, of course, with us, it was always Deerfield Township, and Deerfield was very concerned about that type of annexation. But when the owner of the property wants to do it and they can't get services without it, I understand that that's something that, and that the cities generally want that.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Well, no, that's good. I mean, there's, obviously, there's a need for more housing, but, you know, the low-hanging fruit is put, you know, basically army barracks up, you know, on incredibly small lots, and that's a losing proposition from, especially the school standpoint, although, you know, it's needed in certain parts of the county, but, you know, you would say, and that's a more, I don't want to say rural area, but, I mean, you know, middle of the county, you know, outside of city limits. So to have those two builders involved, you know, very confident it'll be a good product with a higher price point, which will definitely help support Lebanon schools, which is critically important. So that's actually good, because, yeah, we're always hesitant on these ginormous, you know, 300 acres, and you're gonna have, you know, 800 homes there or something, which is not good.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be a larger lot, type,
But
development.
isn't
We've been
it
working
normal-
closely.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, yeah.
Isn't it normal that when you grant sewers, you have lower density? Because typically with septic and in Turtle Creek Township, where we do the zoning, we've required large lots. But you're saying that by permitting it to come into Lebanon, annexing it and giving sewers, it's gonna be lower density than had been developed with septic in Turtle Creek?
It's gonna be, the density is lower than what our traditional zoning would have
Oh, yeah,
supported.
your traditional
Right.
zoning, but not the Turtle Creek Township zoning.
Correct, right.
That you're gonna get more houses than if it was on septic, but it's not maxed out
Right.
that you could do inside of a city.
Right.
So.
Well, I mean, you know, this is not our call. I mean, you know, we like to protect the townships. And if the township had objected and had the right to object, this would have been a different issue for us.
Yeah, and more to come on the, we'll have a lot of discussions over the fairground property, but yeah, it, you know, since we're talking about it, it seemed like a good deal from both parties involved, us and you. And again, you're our second largest city, and we certainly support you, and you guys have done a great job of revitalizing your downtown core, and your core is now expanding.
Right.
And it's heading north. And so with this property that, you know, honestly, the free market didn't have any interest in for a very long time, we were fine holding it and being stewards of that property. But now, there's a higher and better use for part of that land, and so we're happy to work out a deal on favorable terms with, you know, the county seat, City of Lebanon, and we hope you do great things with it.
Yeah, thank you, commissioners, for all your work on it. We are excited about the opportunities out there.
Well, given the fact that it's your city and you're developing that area, and we have an interest in helping you develop, we want to facilitate that. And looking at what you did with property also that we transferred to you for the North Broadway project,
Right.
which is excellent. It's an excellent project. and you've demonstrated, I think, really good stewardship and development. I mean, and this property's been underutilized,
Right.
and we're not gonna develop it. But we do wanna see the fair preserved,
Yeah.
and you're doing that, and.
Particularly the 4-H program. We're big fans of the 4-H program,
Right.
and you guys are also, so that was one of our big negotiating points, was the 4-H program in particular had to be taken care of.
And we also appreciate the fact that you're gonna be treating the horse boarders in a fair manner.
Mhm.
I was long concerned about that because it seemed like when this was announced originally in October last year with the closure of the boarding operation very quickly, and at this very same time, I'm hearing from some of your council people that they're taking tours and they're interested in getting the property, and it seemed like, even though they may have been not related, it looked like they were related.
Mhm.
But I appreciate how Lebanon's approached this and the fairness with which they've done that, and so, you know, we also realize that and the public doesn't realize this, I mean, we own the property, but we don't control this.
Mhm.
This is controlled by the agricultural society, and because it's all part of the fair at this point in time. And you've got multiple parcels, and because of that, and if you localize the fair to certain parcels, I guess, and maybe because we no longer the owners, I'm not sure that you even have to have the agricultural society controlling this. But it gives you more freedom to do what you think is best.
Well, very good. Process
All right.
begins.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Okay, anything else?
I wouldn't mind, since we have a few minutes, if it's okay. Martin, can you give us an update of what's going on in Middletown with the proposed development that's happening there? Because I'm hearing that our role was somewhat limited in that project, and we contributed some money, I think, for planning purposes. But now I'm hearing a lot of, we're not just applying for grant dollars, which are available to projects like this, but I'm hearing that we're actually, and I'm not sure how we define we, are going after state capital dollars in this. And I think that's a bit of a higher threshold that should probably be vetted a little bit more in public of what is going on and what is the county's position on this, and how do you define the county's position, because I haven't heard about it in a very long time.
Yeah, so the process is in now, and obviously, Matt's not here, so I'm not sure. He probably has a little bit more detail than I do, but the process that's currently in right now is, it's in underwriting. We have, Barclays is the underwriting firm that's been brought on to look at all the financials. They wanted what was called a peer review. Originally, Hunden out of Chicago came in and did a study. First was the feasibility of what we were able to go out and you should be able to go out and tackle these X amount of things. We went out, we being Matt worked upstairs, Matt and Candace. There's a firm out of Arizona called CCP that has been working, and with some local folks, and obviously with the city of Middletown, to things like mixed use, the actual arena itself, working with the private sector on things like hotel, restaurants, those items. So they've been out working on getting that, putting that into pro forma, shipping that over to Barclays. Barclays wanted a peer review because there was a couple items inside of that they didn't have any comps for. One specifically was more of the concert piece, because the venue has always been an event center. It's been where it had the ability to go and have pads that could kind of move and switch. So 3 pads of a facility, geared sometimes more towards ice sports, but the one arena would have the multi-purpose use where it could be used for ice sports, other sports, basketball, volleyball, could be used for concerts and those types of items. But there weren't any local comps that they could go out. So Barclays has asked for a peer review. There's a group out of Utah, I think, that is currently doing the peer review. That peer review is almost finished. Assuming that goes well, then it'll be accepted by Barclays, and then we work towards financing. It's really more, the financing is really based more on the revenue generated by the facility itself. what the ARPA dollars that were used for originally that we put in were more for putting for like architectural work, design, those types of items. And where we have that, that's already been completed. We're at full DD drawings. We haven't gone to construction drawings. Won't do that until the financing is complete. As far as the state is concerned, originally we were suggested by Senator Wilson to go after what was called TMUD from the state, which was the Transformational Mixed Use Development Tax Credit. So we tried to go after that. The state told us that we weren't eligible, and the we were is that the Port Authority was intended to sit there and probably be the owner of the facility, because we were kind of modeling it like we did after the sports complex, where the Port Authority would own it. We would have somebody that would operate it from a day-to-day basis. TMUD said that it couldn't have sort of government ownership as a Port Authority ownership. So we tried to work with the state to sit there and see if they could look at their rules relative to TMUD. Senator Wilson, Senator Lang from Butler County, they worked with the Ohio Department of Development. I think there's a different name now, but working with them to try to sit there and see if we could get in that way. We couldn't get in that way. So then there are different other programs like 629. Could we have the ability to get some 629 dollars, which are roadway project dollars, to offset the TIF? So if we could bring in some 629 dollars from the state to help with some of the infrastructure, TIF dollars that would be assigned to the infrastructure then could be pushed back towards lowering the par amount of the debt service. So that's what Matt Davis and others from DSD have been working on, is to try to find an avenue for us to sit there and find it if there's any other state resources based off programs that are already in existence. I don't know if they're planning on going after any capital budget dollars in this round. I'm not aware of that, but there wasn't the intent that I'm aware of to go after state capital dollars. We were just gonna use existing programs that were in place to sit there and find any gaps that we might have. We'll find out really where the gaps are once the pro forma is either validated by Victus, or if there's gaps that are identified by Victus, to then kind of give us the ability to sit there and say, hey, there's this shortfall, we need to attack it in that way. So, but we've had from a user perspective, we have, probably a poor way to phrase it, but kind of in a pre-leasing way, we're probably 60 or 70% pre-leased from end users. We have a concert promoter that is in line that wants to be there. It was, I think actually, I'm not sure if Commissioner Jones met with him or not, I can't remember what it was, but we have some folks that are representing the United States Hockey League that are interested in bringing a franchise to this area. It was actually promoted out on the NHL network, and they actually called out the Middletown Arena. So there's a lot of folks that are gearing towards this, but right now we're really into where that Victus peer review of Hunter's report, and that if that is successful, then we'll just keep on marching on towards closing.
That's the first that I heard, that there was a capital dollar request or just discussion about it. I guess it doesn't surprise me that there would be discussion about it, but I hadn't heard that either.
Yeah, I don't think there was intention, they were going after any capital dollars, but using existing programs. I know that the state now has a new program for sports and recreation facilities. I think it's 400 and some million that's been put out there, but we've heard that won't come out until sometime mid-26, once they write the rules. So is that something that we could potentially go after in mid-26? The hope would be is that we already have our financing lined up and construction would begin, and maybe we could go after some money to replenish something else. But I did push to sit there and see if they were willing to potentially have a project that they would want to have as a guinea pig. But Matt Davis came back to me and said that they weren't ready to do that they were still trying to figure out their working of how the language is going to be. So
When is the validation supposed to be done?
honestly, I think it's supposed to be done this or next week.
Yeah, I mean, again, the only a couple of times that I've ever been involved with it, it was mainly, a private enterprise that was going on, and now it's and again, I'm not opposed, obviously, to Port Authority ownership, and now it's, you know, this private enterprise that we're trying to help, and we're gonna put in some design dollars to potentially, the county port authority actually owns this, and there's a lot of being, it seems like, that's why I kept asking, what is the definition of we? We are in the middle of all of their financing, and trying to get them this, or trying to, and I just don't even know what's going on. I mean,
I think Matt was gonna come, I think Matt was scheduled possibly for next week, or they were talking about potentially next week to give an update, and he can come back and give the more specific updates, but
Yeah, but Matt works for the Port Authority, so obviously, he's not coming up with this on his own. He's being told to do this, so I'm just trying to see who's telling who to do what, and what is the plan? I don't understand exactly what we're trying to accomplish. I understand an arena, and this, and maybe a sports franchise, ice hockey, concert venue, all great, but it was initially kind of pitched as a private enterprise, and we would try to help, but the litany of things you just went down was very much government's in the middle of that.
well, I mean, it's the main supporter of the bonds, it will actually sit there and be based off of the net operating income. And so that's what the performance sits there and is based off of, is what is the revenue based off of items that come in from tickets, that come from, there's been a new community authority that's been just sort of like we've done at Union Village, and what's being done at the tournament is there's a new community authority, so for every high.
But see, and again, Martin, those are like big, important things that I think should be discussed amongst the commissioners, and that's the first time I've heard. Now we're talking about another new community authority. I mean, it's like, who's making these decisions?
Well, that was actually created by the city of
City of
Middletown.
Middletown.
So that was created by the city of Middletown that created it because they actually own the underlying property. So they created the new community authority.
Is this property partly in Warren County?
It's all in Warren County.
It's all in Warren County.
It's at the corner
Well,
of,
obviously, you know, I think that you should keep David and then the rest of the commissioners informed, and if there's any legislation that's gonna come on, or we're gonna be doing anything, then we need to be thoroughly made aware of it before we vote on it and consider it.
yeah, I mean, obviously if there's an ask, then that would definitely be in front, and then we can keep up to date on the specifics of it. I don't know yet at this stage of the game from a direct ask if there will be one of the commissioners, or relative obviously to the state with any other programs. I mean, I know that there's been asks of road infrastructure to help some of those items and things that the city of Middletown applied for and was able to receive, but I don't know that there is going to be any ask. I think the biggest thing right now is working through, to Commissioner Young's point, is all those private users verifying that they actually bring those dollars to the table that we have put, not we, but the consultants have put in the pro forma. If those concerts land, this was what comes back into the kitty. If that franchise comes, this what comes back into the kitty, because it is really going to sit there, be mainly driven by what the private sector wants to use this facility for.
Right, and again, it's, I don't wanna say it's a concern, but my biggest issue would be that government, and again, there's finite asks that go on out of Columbus, that there's a limited amount of money that we can ask for, and I'm not saying don't do that, I'm just saying, when I hear Warren County is asking for this, and I'm like, really? How do we not know about it necessarily, or in a public setting? What are we trying to accomplish, and what's it look like? Because again, that's not the Port Authority asking for it, that's Warren County's asking for this, and if Warren County's asking for anything, I think we need to be involved, and we need to know exactly what the plan is and where it stands and what this thing looks like. And now with all of this work that's been done, we're deep into this. And again, I haven't heard about it in forever. I have no idea what's going on there.
Okay.
Very good.
All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Is there somebody here, there's somebody here, I don't know if they want to address the
Oh,
board.
no, I'm here on behalf of trees.
Okay.
Oh, well, you got what you wanted. Oh, well, you got what the city wanted, and then you wanted it. All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And yes.
Yes,
Okay,
thank you so
thank
much.
you.